this juncture between the Orange Line and the Van Nuys Transit Corridor for transit-oriented development. It's good planning. It's consistent with the mobility plan that the city is moving forward with, which we've been talking about. And it's consistent with the concept today that we should be concentrating development and residential development around transit stations. It's also consistent with the Mayor's Great Streets. Part of the project is relating to the Van Nuys Boulevard corridor and the Great Streets effort that the Mayor has initiated and the City Council is pushing forward with. And it does relate to safety. It relates to making it more easily accessible for pedestrians and for transit users. And so that would be part of the project, and we would want to work with the city planning department, with the community, on how we can best accommodate that along the Van Nuys frontage in particular, but also along Oxnard Street. And I think really importantly, going back to my days working with the city of Los Angeles starting in 1980, this property was designated as the gateway to the Van Nuys Civic Center for years and years and years. And it is the gateway, and it should be the gateway. You've got Auto Road to the south, and you've got the Government Center to the north. And so this provides an opportunity for an iconic development to really anchor the Van Nuys corridor and the Van Nuys Civic Center. So it really provides a lot of opportunities to employ the future, as we were just discussing. What we're proposing, and this is sort of an image board, just to get a sense, this is not the project obviously, but to get a sense of what the feel that we're trying to achieve here. This will be the first mixed-use Class A development in the Van Nuys community. Van Nuys is getting some new development. It's good quality development, but it's not mixed use. It's just residential. This will be the first mixed use project in the Van Nuys community, and I think it's a really great location and opportunity for that purpose. So the project, as Carino described,
can you move the board over?
I'm sorry, sure, yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
Can you see this board?
Yeah, we could see
Yeah.
it. You just bring it to the middle, that would be...
There we
Is
go.
this okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
great.
So
Thank you.
what we're looking at doing is creating the retail frontage along Van Nuys. So you got Van Nuys Boulevard here, the Orange Line, and Oxnard. And this will be a combination of retail uses and restaurant uses, roughly 8,000 square feet of restaurant and 9,000 square feet of retail uses. Local serving. It's intended to serve both the businesses and the government center, but it's also intended to serve the residential community in the area. There's not a lot of local serving retail in this immediate area, but there are a lot of residents, both to the south and to the west, the east, and the north. We will also have 384 homes, residences for people at this location. The idea here is to create an active street frontage along Van Nuys Boulevard. The retail parking will be located immediately behind the retail. One of the things that in our research and experience, you got to have good parking. Doesn't have to be over-parked, but it's got to be good parking to attract the retailers. The hope is that more people will be walking here than driving here, but that may take many, many years to transition. The residential, this will be at ground level. The retail and the dining will be 2 levels. So it will be clear height of 2 levels, but it won't necessarily be 2 floors. And then at the ground level, we'll have the initiation of the residential to the west, some major courtyards, and then the subterranean parking will be designated solely for the residential. So we had looked at various options, and we felt that doing a subterranean parking across the entire site really is the most effective way to utilize this site properly and design it properly for the area. Access to the subterranean garage will be from Vesper. The idea here was to break up the building into sections. We looked at various alternatives, including alternatives that had a long residential wall along Oxnard, and we felt that was just too much. And so one of the things that the subterranean parking allows us to do is break up the buildings with courtyards, and then the massing along Oxnard really is significantly lessened. The residential portion will be 5 stories, roughly at its maximum about 65 feet. There will be stairwells and other structures that may exceed that height, but we're anticipating 65 feet as the maximum height right now, which would be consistent with the zoning that we'll be seeking. So there will be, this shows you the upper floors, and you can see that the residences that face Van Nuys Boulevard on the 3rd floor here will actually have patios that are on the roofs of the retail in front. So people will be able to come out and enjoy, you know, the view of the DWP site and watch the people go by.
The bus stop?
But it will create something that's very important, which is eyes on the street. And that's one of the things that we're talking about. You know, the 7-Eleven up here, there's going to be more people looking at what's going on, which makes it much more challenging for people to do bad things. As far as the public space goes for the residents, one of the things that Gary and Tony and Mark, another Rodriguez, really felt very, very important is that the quality of life for the residents be very high. And part of that is having good, publicly accessible open space for the residents. So the code requires 44,000 square feet of open space totally, both private and public. This property will have 66,000 square feet of open space. I think roughly 47,000 square feet will be, which is over an acre, will be available to all the residents. This courtyard here, for instance, is 20,000 square feet. That's the size of 4 typical single-family home lots, 5,000 square foot lots. These 2 courtyards will be a total of 14,000 square feet, and these 2 a total of 13,000 square feet. So there's quite a bit of publicly accessible open space for the residents to be able to enjoy. There are active spaces and there are passive spaces. So it's got a good mix of uses. Obviously you can see the swimming pool and the image board shows that. The idea here is to have outdoor dining in the restaurants, especially in this key corner here, which we're hoping to sort of make the iconic corner. There will be a pull-out here, and this portion right here is where the residential main entrance is. So this will include a driveway for drop-off and pickup of the residents, so it doesn't have to take place on Oxnard. I think I've covered, I'll just take you through. We don't have really detailed visuals at this point. We wanted to come to you sooner rather than later. I don't know, do you want me to answer any questions, or do you want to wait?
Well,
I've got just a couple more minutes.
Yeah, you could go ahead, and then we'll do.
So it's a contemporary architecture. This is the corner. This would be the Van Nuys frontage here and the Oxnard frontage here. You can see the residential primary entrance. This is the entrance to the parking for the commercial, and then this is the commercial frontage. You can see plan to have outdoor dining along the corner here on both sides, and then along the frontage on Van Nuys Boulevard. There will also, when you look at the corner of Vesper and Oxnard, this doesn't really depict it really well, but one of the keys is to articulate the roof line. Even though they're flat roofs, they vary in height. This area here is actually one of the courtyards. So the building stops, there's an open courtyard, and then the building continues on, and then there's another courtyard. So that's how it's broken up in order to minimize the massing along Oxnard Street. There is a slight grade deviation on the site, which is handled through the architecture and berming along the edges. And then the lower level units will have a relationship to the street. We don't know if they're going to have patios yet, or if they'll actually have direct access to the street. We're taking a look at that. We're really early in the process. This is going to require a zone change and a general plan amendment. The general plan, or the zoning currently is CM zoning. We will be seeking an RAS 4 zone. We will not be maximizing the density that would be provided under the RAS 4 zone, but that's the zoning that we're going to be seeking in order to pursue this project. There will be a merger and re-subdivision in order to merge Etna Street into the site from Vesper to Van Nuys Boulevard. The general plan amendment, let me just make sure I get this correct, is from commercial manufacturing, which is the CM, it's blue on the map, and it'll take it to community commercial, which is consistent with this type of transit-oriented development. As far as where we are in the process right now, we're talking to you. We have not submitted any applications. We anticipate doing a full environmental impact report, which is performed technically by the City of Los Angeles. That process will be initiated very shortly, but it will take a long time, as most of you know. We're anticipating the time frame to be roughly 18 to 24 months to get through the entire process, which ends at the Los Angeles City Council, which acts on the zone change and the general plan amendment. I think that probably covers the broad picture.
Just to do the Q&A, Brad came to me initially as far as a courtesy, you know, just to sort of ask me as far as what I felt, and I said the first thing is to bring to the attention of the residents who live nearby. So I guess a month later we were able to meet, and you know, everything's, I mean, they saw it, so we're at this point now where you're moving ahead. So just to give a sort of background as far as the process of this project. So Maddie?
I have a number of questions. First of all, I commend your adaptive reuse for this land use and to comport with the sustainable community strategy. I realize that it's a law, but there's a lot of developers that are skirting it just because LA County and the city of LA is just, so I commend where you're going. I commend where your decision is on that anchor site as that entry to a great street, and it will greatly reduce his hassle once the project's built, but that's 10 years from now, so let's deal with 2015. One of the keystones of gentrification is displacement. So how will you account for housing affordability and mixed use within your development so that we don't lose the heart of Van Nuys as we introduce these great amenities?
Well, this project is intended to be market rate. Now, the market rate here for a Class A building is going to be different than it is maybe in Sherman Oaks or Encino, but it will be market rate housing.
Okay, so you will not have any sort of incentives or any sort of affordable housing or mixed income into your planning for this unit, for this project. Okay, 2, with regard to your open space, how open are you to allowing your residents to garden, to plant food, and to be given their own land so that they can grow food within that area?
That's a great suggestion. I mean, there's good area here for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So you could put, each unit could be, and it's an amenity that's an upsell for you.
We've visited some developments that have that and have a gardening club as part of their community.
It's phenomenal. Also, Wi-Fi is now standard, just so you know. People are going to be expecting it. I just moved back from a community in San Diego called North Park. You're going to want to look into what North Park is doing. They're doing a lot of great stuff that you could pull from them. I won't waste anyone's time. 3, we have rooftop farming available in the city of LA. How open are you to green roofs? We have a green roof ordinance. You can do rainwater capture, which reduces your water, which you can capture and irrigate with. But 2, it's an energy saver. Because the roof is alive, it captures and it plays, for your part, it's a reduction, it's a carbon sequester. So again, I recommend you all get in touch with Climate Registry, because you're going to have an incredible footprint. Because of your SECA compliance should be off the charts. I mean, I'm just guessing, but you're reducing vehicle miles traveled phenomenally. So capture that. Make sure that that's captured so that you get credit for that. So yeah, urban gardening, urban farming, wherever you can go with that, you definitely will have my support. The roof should be alive in any shape or form you can do it. And then how can you incorporate active and passive sun? You have a lot of space there to further reduce your energy use. And that is also a market driver because your rents are going to be high. You're going to be having you're going to be displacing, you know, and replacing with more affluent customers. And one of the cost-benefit net differentials is the reduction in energy. So they might have $10 energy expenses on a $3,000 a month rent.
Yeah, one of the good things here about the displacement issue is because there are projects obviously where there's residential existing and that residential goes away. This is all commercial space, so we're not actually reducing any residential units or demolishing any residential units.
No, but you are going to be driving rents up. So I moved here from Venice, and what happened was they took a section that used to be Marie Callender's, and it used to be like these shopping centers, and they converted it to a hotel, and they converted it to mixed-use space. But the rents there are about $3,000 a month, and so it didn't really create housing because it didn't fill it.
Can we get Rubina?
Thank you. Hi, so, we've met before. I'm a resident. I live about a block from the proposed site. Since we last talked, you've been very open in talking about the plans architecturally. But what I'm not hearing you talk about is the environmental conditions that were really quite serious with the Regional Water Board at this site. So much so that they may be reviewing it again very shortly because of the underground leaking tanks and potential vapor intrusion from doing kind of building. So do you have anything to add about that?
Well, that's why we're doing an environmental impact report, because that will address those issues. I'm sure, during the notice of preparation, there will be comments on that, and we will have to address that as thoroughly as the Regional Water Quality Control Board or the City of Los Angeles might require.
Right, and then there's just the 384 residences, and then the proposed businesses as well. So how many total parking spaces? And were you thinking of going down, like levels?
We will go down, there will be one subterranean level parking across the entire site.
Right.
And then there will be one surface level parking for the retailers.
So a total of roughly how many spaces? Do you know? I mean, approximately at this time.
I don't know. And we will provide 631 total parking spaces.
Okay, and then you're also aware of this proposed fire station that's
Yes.
going to be nearby. Maybe Mr. Lin can address the issue with the fire station.
Love to.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Are you aware of the fire station? Because
You told us about it.
I told you about it. All right, then you are aware of it. So therefore, you are aware, or should be, or will be now, that at the time the fire station was originally approved, it's now been disapproved, but it's wherever it's at. First of all, the fire department insists they need access from Etna Street. Second of all, they insist that it's zoned commercial and not residential, which we were told repeatedly over and over again. Most recently, I've been told by the fire department that due to their response time issue, which is supposedly the reason that it was placed on this inappropriate site, that Oxnard is a east-west street, as we can obviously see, and they need to go north. So they're going to have fire trucks going north every day, 200 trips, according to the city, on Vesper, and on Van Nuys and on Fulton, but primarily on Vesper. So your units, if I can see your other picture, and your entrance, unless I misunderstood you, you say the entrance of the subterranean thing is on Vesper there? Okay, it's going to be 216 fire engines screaming up and down that street every day, including according to the City of Los Angeles, not according to me. So I think we have a bit of a conflict here. Either this is a good site for a fire station, I don't think it is, or it's a good site for this project, reserve judgment on that, but obviously it's incompatible. Obviously I agree with my fellow neighborhood councilman down at the end of the table who said previously the City of Los Angeles is grossly negligent. It was certainly famous for that. And I have to wonder if the right hand knows what the left hand is doing here, and that's not a secret. I've said that to the chairman of this committee before. We have now listened, for us who live just
Right across the
off,
street.
just off the picture or any of those pictures. I've now sat here and listened to the orange line, which I'm told is going to be ripped up because some politician wants to build a streetcar out of it or something.
Rail line.
And whatever. followed by a presentation about why it's okay to have a liquor store there so that we can have transient drunks travel back and forth and all the problems that creates, as Ms. Meyer very accurately spoke about, followed by this very large project on that corner, no matter how you slice it, very big piece of property, next to which is a fire station, next to which is an undetermined parcel that's directly to the west, next to which is something else, which I think is going to be a home for women and children or something that's going to require security, across the street from which is, the heck is the name of that? Cornerstone, which is a continuous problem for drug addicts. So this is what is going on behind us. Ms. Sewell spoke about, you know, what is going on environmentally. I don't know, but this is disorganized, just the nicest word I can possibly use for it. I think you guys better talk to the fire station. I don't see how these things can possibly coexist, especially with the orange line there. We all recall what happened in Chatsworth with the Metrolink. It'll happen again. I mean, it will. There are children that walk up and down Gosford daily to get to, what is that, VNNC Elementary that's down the street from there?
From VNNC High School.
This is a disaster
And middle
waiting
school.
to happen.
Jeff, where's the, I don't know where the fire station is in reference to that.
Yeah, well, you have a hard time. Well, actually, wait a minute. Give me the big picture, the photograph, which is dated, but it's okay. Show her the fire station, right there.
Oh, yeah,
Biggest
that's
fire
awful.
station in the valley,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And furthermore, just you look at this. This is important. And I'm not just saying this to hear myself talk. This is in the southernmost portion of Fire Station 39's district. Therefore, to have a response time, they have to go north. They have no way to go north unless you go up Vesper.
Right,
Which is
right.
where we were just told all of these units are, and this entrance is, and the orange line is right behind it.
Right.
We live, well, we're off the picture
Right
here,
across
right?
on the other side of Oxnard.
More or less where Brad's hands were
Right,
just
Right
then.
there.
Right.
This is just a cataclysm, you know, for us. I mean, I'll be overly generous and say that I'm sure all of these individual people who are involved in these individual things are well-meaning, but they're not talking to each other. It's not coordinated. It has no rhyme. It has no reason. It has no common sense. If we're going to have a plan and we're going to have all these wonderful things for Van Nuys and so forth that I've heard about, and I'm not being sarcastic when I said that, then there has to be some sort of overarching theme or something. We don't have that here at all.
Absolutely.
You know, we went through this with the fire station, and I know you guys had nothing to do with the fire station whatsoever. But the fire station came, and the fire department and the city assured everybody that there was no problem with that piece of property, and they were dead wrong. They admitted in court that they were dead wrong, and now they're sort of dead in the water at the moment, but that's starting again. So I think we need something, Mr. Chairman, that makes sense for this entire area.
Well, I did talk to Brad yesterday and talked about EIR because there's going to be different EIRs.
Yeah.
You know, not only from Brad, but also through Metro, through the fire department, transportation, as far as...
Who's going to do this EIR specifically?
Well, the city of Los Angeles does.
Well, what does that mean? And when I say that, my understanding is that the city of Los Angeles has delegated their EIR-ing, if that's a word, to the LA Fire Department?
I don't, are you asking about the fire department?
No. What I'm talking about is that the city of Los Angeles does not, what are you talking about, the DOE? Who with the city of Los Angeles is going to do the EIR? That's what I'm saying.
The planning department does the EIR, the city council certifies it. Now, we have,
They contract it out to a vendor.
yeah, there's a private vendor who does it, but the vendor prepares the draft.
Yeah.
The city staff then reviews it, revises it,
Yeah.
and approves the final screen check. Then the draft goes out to public review.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, usually 30 to 60 days, depending on the nature of the EIR. The public comments on that EIR, and those comments are then have to be addressed
Yeah.
by the city
Right.
and the contractor, or whomever is appropriate to do it. And then that constitutes the final EIR.
Yeah.
Can I get Maria and then Penny?
I have three little questions for Mr. Rosenheim. You mentioned there were 631 parking spaces for the development. What portion will be, the subterranean is for residential and the ground level is for commercial? How many, can you give me the breakdown?
Yeah, it's 531
531.
in the subterranean for the residential, and then there is 100 for the commercial.
Okay.
Now, some of those commercial spaces may, depending on the time of day, be used for guests as well. There's also going to be, I can't recall the number right offhand, but there'll be roughly 450 bicycle parking spaces on site, some of which are short-term, most of which are long-term because they're going to be associated with the residential units.
450.
Around there, yeah.
Okay, for bicycles.
Yes.
Okay, my second question, the residential units, 354. What's the mix of
84.
1, 2, and 3 bedroom?
I don't know the exact numbers, but they go from studios, which I think, do you happen to remember? I think they're sort of in the, maybe like the 50 range. And then it goes up to 3 bedrooms. And they each vary, the numbers, I don't recall right off the top of my head.
And my final question, this merging the Etna into the site. I know some time back there was a vacation or whatever they call the process of Etna between Van Nuys and Vesper.
Yeah.
Could you explain what that merging Etna means?
Sure.
That means it will be taken out of service as a
Yes.
street and incorporated into the development?
Right, right. What happens is the underlying fee title to public streets for the most part are owned by the adjacent property. And then the city, in essence, sort of has an easement to utilize that street. And so if it's vacated, if the city should agree to vacate that street, it reverts back to the abutting property. So in this case,
So
Whatever
Etna
you say.
Street will disappear between?
yes.
Okay.
No, they'll run fire trucks down it because they'll have an easement for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any chance that this could become a small lot subdivision versus more apartments? Because I'm going to tell you right now, these people are going to pay the price for the parking that's going to eke over into your neighborhood.
Of course. What?
He's right. That's all we'll be listening to
Right,
in neighborhood
exactly,
council forever.
exactly.
And I just think ownership is better for our community than transient people moving in and out.
I don't think that's possible, but we can talk.
I would really think it would be a better option for the surrounding neighbors. That's more what I would like to see is home ownership here versus more rentals. I mean, we're already struggling with the water issue. I would love to see people own their own homes.
And
Robina?
just the very last thing, just that the infrastructure of our community, and we see what's happening in West Hollywood, there's all these breaks of water lines and adding another 384 residences and these additional cars and vehicles, the synergistic and cumulative impacts are just overwhelming. But and the very last thing I just wanted to ask was, so when we asked about the EIR and you said that you had every intention of going forward with that, did I misunderstand you by saying the city was going to do the EIR?
The city, well, it's the city's document, but it's prepared by a private consultant.
No, I understand, but the property is not owned by the city.
Correct.
Right, okay.
But the city is the lead agency,
Right,
and so they're responsible for the environmental impact report.
right,
And the certification comes through in this case, it would be the city council.
right. I just can't emphasize, though, enough how concerned I was when I read the history of the site.
Okay.
And the signatures were all on there of Mr. Rodriguez and everyone. So it's something you've all known about that I would have hoped would have been disclosed earlier, but, you know.
Well, that is the purpose of the EIR, is to disclose that.
Maddie?
On your current, I support Penny's idea about ownership and small to be examine, maybe even, mixed use with whatever, but I support, because the direction she's going is more mixed income, and it reduces displacement, so I really hope that you'll consider the feasibility. But can you bring up back the form that you have? The second one that was more yellow. Can you talk about how much mix between the general public and residents as far as the commons area? How is it blocked off where residents have their own designated space and the pedestrians from the street are closed off to it?
Correct.
And then is your development and your concept leading in the direction of pour doors?
I'm sorry.
So pour doors you're going to have some housing affordability in your unit just because of various ordinances. So what some developments are doing along Sunset Boulevard is they're designating the low income access to reduced amenities in literally a pour door where you go and enter that way, and you have different commons than those paying market rate. They have different access, and it's been contentious in the Sunset area and West Hollywood area. Or is that something that will always be off the table as far as this project is concerned?
Yeah, LA doesn't have the same ordinances that West Hollywood does about affordable housing. And right now, as it stands today, there is no affordable housing requirement.
The housing element was passed?
It hasn't, that's the housing element, that's part of the general plan, it's not ordinance. Now, it may be.
The housing affordability is captured in the Sustainable Community Strategy, and as we speak right now, between 200 million and 400 million of AB 32 funds are being allocated for affordable housing, which the city plans on trying to capture a piece of. I'm being realistic. Housing affordability is going to hit your project.
And there will be, and that may be the case.
And are you ready to pronounce to this community tonight that you would never ever consider the pour door strategy for if that happens on your property?
We're not ready to pronounce anything. We're still at the very early stages, but your point is well taken. That's part of why we're here today, is to hear what your concerns are. And
just let her know, we're not taking a vote. They got a long ways to go as far as what they have to do.
This was really just to let you guys know what's going on, given the fact that Chevy has moved off.
Is there any studies onto how many cars were actually moving in and out of that lot on a daily basis?